Okay, and this video I'm going to show you throwing technique of your throwing sticks for small game using the throwing sticks that I just made in this series. Let's see here. There's the first thing is the quarry that you're after has to not detect you. Many types of animals are afraid of human beings, so you have to try and be stealthy enough to get close to them. Also, throwing is a dynamic motion, which will start almost anything, which will create what's called concentric rings, which will send out, if the birds start flocking, then the deer start flocking, and then everything else starts flocking away, blah, blah, blah. So it's like throwing a pebble in a pond. So there's a concentric ring that human beings can set off, especially when they're in the woods and they're not conscious of the surrounding. So there's a particular technique of throwing that I've learned, and even when shooting the bow, as opposed to drawing back, especially when you're hunt stalking, right? You're actually extending out, so it's a smaller, shorter, and less detectable motion by the animal. All right, and throwing is the same thing. Now, rabbitsing specifically, rabbits depend on their ability to camouflage. So they'll stop and they'll stay real still, even if it's in the wild open. And even in my area here, on my apartment campus here, we got tons and tons of rabbits around here, and that's exactly what they do. They'll freeze. And all throughout my life, growing up in the country, you come across rabbits. That's what they do. They freeze. So you can actually get, and that'll usually be within 10 to 20 feet of you, right? And so even if you go way out to wilder parts of the country or wilder areas where animals are not so used to or afraid of people, you can actually get much closer to them because they don't know what you are. Especially if you're upwind from them, they can't smell you, so on and so forth. A lot of times in a primitive situation, you're going to be mudded up, meaning you're going to be camouflaged. Being mudded up, that hopefully we'll be able to touch on that if I can find a nice clean place to do that. That's a part of the camouflage. Also, it helps keep the mosquitoes and the bugs and the flies off of you, off top. But it'll be able to have you stalk closer, okay? So more on that, but what I'm going to do is just kind of show you kind of throwing technique that I learned that's going to not, you're not launching like that like a baseball player, because the minute you draw back, or you stand up and draw back, you're going to scare away whatever is that you're after, okay? So you kind of have to keep all the motions short and quick. So short, low, short, and quick, okay? So basically, what I'm going to do is what you want to do, and I'm probably going to stick one in my pants here, because you probably want to have like three, right? One, if you miss. Two, to try again, and hopefully you get it, and then three, sometimes you just incapacitate your quarry, and then three is to put it out of its misery. Okay, so it's not lying on the ground screaming around. Sorry if it sounds gory. If it bothers you, you feel free to change the channel. Okay, this is life or death. This is we do in the wilderness wilderness or survival situation, you need calories to keep going. Okay, so those are just the facts of life. So so usually you have three. I'm still working on the other one that we talked about, but I'm going to go ahead and make this video. So I'm just going to tuck one here, so I have it at my ready. So what I want to do is I want to keep everything tight, and obviously I want to be low. Okay, I want to be low. Now, what I want to do is I want to turn my hips first and then throw. Okay, so it's going to be a slow throw like that, right? So I'm going to turn my hips and then everything's gonna go from there, as opposed to this motion. You see how this is more gross than this? Okay, you see what I'm saying? So you're just spinning it like that, okay? I'll do it again. So again, you know, everything's coming from the hips, okay? It's the same in martial arts, right? It's all other, I digress, but everything's coming from the hips, and you're kind of whipping it from your hips, okay? The hips turn, and then you throw, okay? So hip, throw. Hip, throw, okay? Hip, throw. Hip, throw, okay? So again, that's just, and again, you're keeping your profile low. You would be mostly, you know, you'd be camouflaged up. You're keeping your profile low, and you're using your hip first. And again, those people that do breaking and waving and popping and locking, you know what I'm talking about. It's like that. Your body moves using plyometric motion, right? So again, versus a gross motion, which is going to startle everybody and everything. This is going to be more subtle. Mind you, this is not for long range. This is for short range, quarry. All right, and the idea is to get as close as you can. Yes, it's romantic to think that you're going to be able to, you know, at 50 yards, hit a crow, or not a crow, hit a pheasant at 50 yards in flight. I'm sure people can do it. I'm very sure people can do it. I know I can't, and I'm not trying to strive for that kind of perfection. I don't have the resources or the space to even try to attempt to get that good, right? The reality of it all is, in my environment, which is most people's environment, is that, you know, you can get pretty close. Oh, also there's going to be brush and trees and rocks and things around. So trying to throw something far away, now you got to go find your stick again, right? All the energy and time it took you to make this. So that's something also to keep in mind, is that, you know, you want to make sure that you know where it's going to go. You know what your backstop is, so you're not, you know, throwing it in the water, you're throwing it off of a ravine, or you're throwing it in, you know, a place where you're not going to be able to find it again. Again, you could paint these in colors that would be contrasting, which will help you find them if you lose them, or if you miss, or even if you do hit and then it rebounds off the ground or off the animal and goes someplace else. So again, this is a short motion, plyometric motion, hip first, then the shoulders, and then you kind of flick it. Now, what I'm remiss on is how I'm kind of holding this, right? So I'm holding this like that, okay? So the tip here is resting on my thumb and my finger, on my middle finger and my index finger, and then my thumb, okay, like that, so I can release it. All right. So this is kind of really the way the indigenous people of Australia throw their boomerangs. Okay, this is not a boomerang; it's a throwing stick. Okay, boomerangs are throwing sticks, but this is not a boomerang. All right. So, but I've learned this a long time ago. I'm still throwing it in that manner. So again, I'm kind of holding it like that, and then this is kind of resting on the top of my middle finger, and then I'm wrapping it or securing it with my index finger. Okay, or you can do it where it rests on your ring finger, and then you securing it and holding it with your middle finger and your index finger. Okay, whichever you feel. Okay, or you can just hold it like this, you know, just like a club, whichever, or you can try to frisbee it, whichever is comfortable for you. I don't think there's a correct way necessarily. This is just how I'm doing. Okay. So next we're going to try and do some accuracy shots. Again, I'm not perfect at this. This is just something you got to get to, you know, it's something you got to. So next we're going to do some accuracy shots. So I'm not good at this, but you know, it's just good to get out here and practice. Again, I don't want to go all the way to the park to do this. I've got a nice area It's kind of, you know, the traffic, the main road is over there, so hopefully you can hear me well enough. And I have a backstop here. Again, it's rocks and I don't want to ruin my stuff, but behind the camera here is an empty apartment space, so I don't want to be throwing it towards there because this is a patio. I don't want to be breaking the glass because now I got to pay for it, and that would suck. So anyhow, I'm going to set the camera up so we can get an angle of what we're going to be aiming at. Okay, so I don't actually have any real rabbits or squirrels to be aiming at, and I wouldn't want to be doing that just for the sake of filming anyways, for this type of video, because it's not a quick kill anyways. So I'm going to use my rubber chicken, which is going to be a duck, right? This is my duck, all right? So it's going to be a duck, and you know, I'm gonna turn the block, spin the block, and I'm gonna get this duck. From you guys from Chicago know what I'm talking about. But anyways, this is my rubber chicken. Shout out to the late Ron Hood of Hood's Woods. If you know, you know. Okay, so I've set it approximately 20 feet from where I'm going to be throwing at, all right? And I'm going to just throw a few shots for accuracy. And again, I'm going to just do this in a single take, a few takes. Again, I'm no expert at this. I'm just archiving the information, showing the information, because I don't spend all day, every day out here throwing sticks at targets, right? I just don't. I don't have the time. But trust me, when you get hungry and you get to that point, you're going to get pretty accurate, and you already know what to do, right? So it is good to get out there and practice. Again, in ancient medieval times, I think it was decreed by many of the kings that every Sunday was reserved for everybody to go out and practice archery, just so that when came times of war, when the sovereign needed to call on people to act as a militia or army, at least they had some people hit with some accuracy with the bow and arrow, even whether they were a serf, a peasant, or whatever. So anyways, yeah, you just choose a day to go out and practice, and there you go. All right, enough said. Here we go. So hopefully you see the duck over there, the chicken, and that's what I'm aiming at, the little yellow thing, and I'm aiming at an angle so I'm not going to hit the building, which is to my left side here. This is about as close as you might be able to get to many animals, depending on the situation. All right, and again, I don't want to throw like this. I kind of want to just take this and just kind of click it, right? So I'm falling short, but I'm on target, which is not bad. Okay, so I'm not gonna fake the funk. After a few tries, I finally actually hit it 3 times this time. But that's kind of how you do it in a way. Again, Aboriginal children, this is what they spend their time doing, right? As they grow up. So that's why by the time they become adults, they're almost dead-eye, and whether it's bow, spear, addle, throwing stick, throwing rocks. As an adult, you have to steal time or make time, to get out here and practice and practice and practice. Now, mind you, I'm using my right-handed. Being a Filipino martial artist, we're trained to be ambidextrous, so that would mean I would have to learn to throw with my left hand. Because what if in a survival situation I couldn't use my right hand? I was injured. I'd have to still be just as accurate with my left, right? So it's just something to think about. Again, no faking the funk. There was a few tries just to kind of get it, just to get it in there. But you know, with the first shot kind of nicked the head, which is actually what I was aiming for, and then the other 2 shots hit it in the body. So you know, there you go. That's kind of the throwing technique that you might want to use, that I was taught how to use. And you know, just got to go out and give it a try. What I've done before is I've gone to like a toy store and gotten little stuffed animals, little furry animals, squirrels, raccoons, and stuff like that, and you know, just laid them out on the ground and just either practice shooting at them with a slingshot or a bow with dull tips, or you know, a throwing stick like this. That way you're not unnecessarily, you know, unnecessarily killing things without the necessity of needing their sustenance, and again, you get repeated repetition, and you're also not taking the animal out of the ecosystem unnecessarily. So, and again, I hope this wasn't too long-winded, but I just needed to explain some finer points. Part of it, again, I had to get real low, almost level to the ground at a particular angle, because if I was standing upright throwing it, now I'm throwing downwards, and that's kind of a different trajectory, right? So I'm at a lower angle, and then I was able to really kind of flick it into the space of the animal, or rather the animal got in the way of the trajectory of the stick. Okay, so anyways, thanks for watching. If you find this inspiring, put a little something in the tip jar. Links are below, and like, share, and subscribe. Quack, quack, quack.